Teamster Power 767 Reality Check with Jeff Schenfeld and Garfield Hooper. All right, hope everyone's doing well today. Garfield had to take the day off. He was a little under the weather, but we do have some guests here today. First off, from Ben Reynolds from Local 41 in Kansas City, Missouri. We have William Pina from 396 in Covina, California. And out of 767, we have Will Hale out of Denton, steward, and Seth Pacic, a package steward out of Denton as well. So we're going to talk about heat safety in regards to package cars. And we just want to see how things are going across the country. We're going to start off with Ben today. Let us know what's going on in your local.
Hey, thanks for having me, Jeff.
Absolutely.
It's been a little up and down. We had some really, really hot weeks early on in June.
Mm-hmm.
Last couple weeks, a little bit more temperate, and we're heating right back up. It was mid 90s yesterday. The high was 101. That stuff's no joke. We had a guy on Friday go down midday. He's doing all right, but in typical UPS management fashion, uh, they were, sort of casting doubt on the legitimacy of his heat illness, which is disgusting. This is someone that's like dealt with this issue in the past, high seniority driver. If once it's happened once, you're more prone to it. We all know that.
Yep.
Um, and it's just a reminder that we have to look out for each other because UPS certainly isn't going to do it for us.
Got that right. So it's going on everywhere. What about you, Will Pena? What's going on over there?
Out here in Southern California, it's also been super hot. We've been reaching the 90s as well, so the package cars are going up super hot. We're heavy out here. The routes are heavy. Right on time for the summer. They're making us go through, use Orion. So Orion has you go into the back of the truck and look for packages, in the heat. And it's just funny how they just came out with that as soon as it got hot. Also, we've had some illnesses out here too. One of them resulted in a hospital. Well, actually, both of them probably resulted in a hospital visit. One of them caused a tier 3, and those are serious, bro. Right in the middle of the traffic, an intersection crash could be fatal. And the guy was tired, and a lot of these guys aren't taking their lunch, from what we understand. So if you guys are out there, stop and take your lunch. It's very important that you get refreshed, you get your hydration in, and you eat something and get your mind straight before you go, you start your route again. That's what's happening out here. There's a few other things that are happening that, we'll talk about, more as the podcast or show goes on.
All right. All right. So Seth, Denton, what's going on there?
I mean, I think that we've been fortunate to not have any serious like illnesses in my center so far. I mean, obviously in our local, we've had like 3 deaths that could maybe possibly be attributed to heat already this year. It's still early yet, which is really very troubling.
It is.
But it's been hot, we've been trying to get the drivers to take heat breaks. Let them know that they have the right to take heat breaks. Been trying to just spread awareness and help people to take care of themselves, because obviously we can only look out for each other and ourselves. The company's not going to do it. So
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean that's the truth. We know that. We know that the company's just going to be the company. They care about the boxes and stuff like that. We care about the people, and we want certain things. And what we tell people is, we were talking about this earlier about the cool zones. Go to the cool zones and then tell your supervisor. You're not going to wait
yeah,
to hear something. Don't wait to, oh wait, let me just wait back from. By that time, you could fall out.
yeah,
And those are the things. I mean, we don't want. And there are so many dangers in this job, and I mean, the fact that the company is in the summertime cutting routes and putting more work on less trucks is mind-boggling, right? With all the deaths that have happened and the people falling out.
I mean,
I
it's
mean,
crazy that they're still doing it, but that's true. They've always done that. They've always
Yep.
cut routes in the summer, and it doesn't
Yep.
make any sense. Like, we're gonna cut routes in the summer when it's 110 degrees outside, send everybody out loaded down. By what logic? I don't understand. But
I don't. Listen, so Seth, I'm going to ask you something, and I know it's close to you. Can you mind talking about a situation that happened a couple of years ago with a driver, friend of yours, Ben Wills?
yeah, I can talk about it. Yeah, there was a driver. His name was Anthony Montgomery, Tony Montgomery. He was a guy that like I knew pretty well. He had been out on injury for, I want to say, like 8 months maybe, for a back injury.
Mhm.
And he came back from injury in the middle of the summer in 2022 when we were having heat. We were having heat on the dial of like 116. I don't even remember like what the heat indexes were, but it was like 116, like regular temperature. And he had a bid route that was a housing development area, with no trees, no shade, no wind, because the houses were so close together, because it was all new houses. And he called me like every day, like trying to strategize with me about how he could get through his day, because he was really struggling. And then on a Monday, or it's Monday or Tuesday, I think it was Monday though. I talked to him earlier in that day. He actually seemed like he had been doing better. He like had worked out electrolyte drinks. He had been bringing ice, and like he was like, it was funny because I took the next day off because like I was struggling. He was like, "Bro, you seem like you're struggling today." Like I took the next day off and I went and got IV fluids, and I didn't talk to him the day that I took off. And I come back to work on the Wednesday, and I get a call from his fiance, telling me that he had gotten into an accident on his way home from work. He had totaled his vehicle on I-35 West. Um, that he had a massive heat stroke, and that he was in the hospital in a coma. And it was really rough actually. And the thing that's like the thing that's crazy and fucked up about that is that he went back to the building. He brought his route in, right? Like, and I think they actually may have had to go out and get him or whatever. And like he was in the building puking his fucking guts out. Like he was like puking and like just so bad off. And they didn't ever call paramedics. They let him drive himself home. He like threw up, from eyewitness statements. He threw up like right before he left to get in his car. He was still throwing up. And
Yeah.
he got like down the highway and suffered a massive stroke from exposure to the heat. And to this day, he was in a coma for a couple of weeks because he didn't have blood to like half of his brain for like 40 minutes or something. He he still can't he still can't say words right. Like he mixes up like words, and he still has trouble like walking and moving around with half of his body. And he'll never drive a UPS truck again. He'll never drive a motorcycle again. He was an avid motorcyclist. Just a like pretty generally happy guy. Like I don't know. It's just
Yeah.
the company tried to get out from underneath responsibility of it by saying that it wasn't a work related injury because he had already clocked out for the day and he was on his way home, which is
Well,
just
and
They
that's
let
a
him
and that's a
go.
reminder. That's a reminder that the company will try and squirm out from any sort of responsibility that they have to us. Uh, I know Big Will, you were talking about how the company has been pretty cavalier with COVID, and in our local, and also there was a death in Oklahoma maybe 5 years back where they tried to blame it on the heart condition of a brother of ours out of Oklahoma, and they've been pretty cavalier about COVID in your local, right, Will, and they'll expose us to COVID and then try and blame you know, the heat, to try to blame like the heat issues on, you know, our heart condition. So I don't know if you want to talk maybe a little bit about how your management team has been irresponsible with COVID. And I know that you've been in the back of that package car, digging around, and when they block your walkways and stuff like that. We see that on the preload all the time, e-regs in the walkways. So if you want to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, sure. First of all, in our local, we had Esteban Chavez die, Jr. He died a few years ago, and it so happens that on my route, the funeral home is there, where basically all the drivers go and they have the services. So I went, and I'll tell you, when you see a brother in a casket, it's and as young as he was, at 24 years old, it's very traumatizing, bro. Especially me, and I went in there with my Browns, all sweaty and stuff, and the family crying. It's something that you don't want to put yourself through or your family through. This is a serious issue that we need to take really seriously, man. I mean, this company doesn't really care. The managers don't care. They're in their office. They're safe. They can get water whenever they want. They have a restroom on top of their heads, or around the corner from them. We don't. We're struggling out there, and like as far as COVID is concerned, you know, people seem to not take this serious. We went through a deadly pandemic where a lot of drivers got really sick, and got their family members sick, and they're carrying that around with them to this day. We created a whole generation of people with disabilities because of COVID. And like we were talking about it, man, it attacks your brain, it attacks your heart, your cardiovascular system. And that's the number one thing that you need out there is your cardiovascular system when you're doing a route. Because you're going up and down those stairs, digging in the back of the truck, looking for packages that are probably not even there, sometimes, and sweating your ass off. That's a deadly mix, and I know for a fact that at work I got COVID a couple of weeks ago because of the policies at work, because they're making people come in with COVID under the threat of write-ups, and that's how I got sick. And I thought it was allergies, so I was working with COVID for about a week until my wife tested positive, and then I tested positive. I I I called in on a Monday and said I'm not coming in because I didn't feel safe. I felt really weak. I felt really bad, and I wouldn't be able to do the route. So when I did feel good enough, I didn't have any more symptoms. I felt good enough to come in. I went to the office. My board is not in a slot. You guys already know what that means. That means that somebody's going to talk to me. And as soon as I went into the office to clock in, there was a sheet right there looking at my occasions. Now you tell me, an injury to one is the injury to all, guys. That's the number one thing about being in a union. How am I going to keep my brothers and sisters safe if I can't stay home and get well? I don't want to go out there and give another driver COVID. I don't want to go and give my customers, that I speak to out there in COVID, and then on my route, well, I think I have every single clinic, in the area on my route. So I can also, I can get infected there or infect people there, vulnerable people. So this is a big issue. And I think that UPS is breaking labor law by intimidating drivers, making them come in while they're sick like that. And not only that, like I said, it's super deadly, and we need to do something about it. This is a serious issue that we need to somehow, raise awareness and make sure that, that we're doing the right things when we're sick, staying at home. Don't take any risks, and don't put your family at risk, man. It's really important. And I'll pass it back to you, Will.
Well, and it's not just COVID. They are, writing people up for, even if you have a doctor's note, they're writing people up for being sick. Now, can you imagine being sick with, not just COVID, a fever, like a cold, anything like that, and you're out there in the heat and you're working sick in the heat, and imagine this, I mean, you guys don't have to imagine the stress that it puts on your body. Y'all know the stress that it puts on your body. And so if they're out here, writing people up, threatening people with discipline, Jeff, correct me if I'm wrong, but they they forced a brother of ours back out on a truck after he had a heat incident.
Yep, Adam McKinney. Yep, he went to a like a Karen Hour Concentra, and they cleared him, and the manager instructed him to go out. Now, and this is where we have to educate our members. Hey, listen, you go out with a heat issue, you're done for the day. Plus, you get your guarantee on top of that. But you do not go back out because you're not okay. That's it. And he went out, and luckily the driver was like, I'm not giving you, he gave him like 2 stops instead of what they asked him to, because it was like, are you kidding me? Well, I'm not gonna be part of this. And that was pushed up pretty high, because that was ridiculous. Same manager that where the driver died last year at McKinney did that. Okay. And that was just unconscionable. It was just unbelievable. When I heard that, Garfield told me, I was like, are you effing kidding me? I was blown away. That's where you go nuts. That's the time you make them feel it. You let them know you're there, right? As a union. So, with all that being said, we're gonna wrap this up, but I want just Ben, I'm gonna start with you. One safety thing that you can impart here that can help members in general, just to save something, regarding safety.
Yeah, I mean, I just think it bears repeating, take your breaks, take
Yep.
extra cooling breaks early and often.
Okay.
Do it well before you need to, right? Because
Yep.
once you need it, you're behind.
Yep. I get you.
Check in with your loot mates, check in with your brothers and sisters, because you're not always gonna know when you're not feeling good. And someone else
True.
might notice it before you do.
Yep. Very true. Big Will, what about you?
Yeah, you know what? When you guys are out there in the heat, sorting your truck, get underneath a tree, open up that back door, open up that bulkhead door, let that hot air go out, and right now in the heat, take your time. Take your time, drink your fluids. Don't worry about production. It's about you getting home safe. That's the bottom line.
Absolutely. Seth?
I think the thing that's helped me probably the most, like over the past few years, is I have a practice of taking like an ice pack pouch and stuffing and putting ice in it and putting that around my neck. And then this year, because I'm wearing a hat now, I've started putting ice underneath my hat and letting that melt on me. And as opposed, or like you can take a cooling towel and you can wrap ice up in it like a burrito and tie up the ends, and then that will take like 40 minutes to melt, like, and you'll have cool water kind of like flowing over you. That's
Yeah.
saved my life, like literally saved my life. Like that,
No.
and keeping a job site fan that's battery
Yeah.
powered in the back of my truck,
Yeah.
but
No, it's
like that, those two things have literally like kept me out of the hospital, over the past few
okay.
years.
Hey, that's something. And Will?
Well, I just want to reiterate to all the drivers, take your full lunch. Take your full lunch, and then, take as many heat breaks as you need. But send it in the board to your supervisor that you're taking the heat break, but take that heat break that you need. And
Hmm.
if you stop sweating, you are in danger. Call 911. Okay?
Yep.
If you're cramping up, if you have an upset stomach, you need to go to a cool zone, and go to a cool zone first. Go to a cool zone first, and then message management. Always CYA, they're just like everybody said, they're always after us about that stuff, but you take care of yourself first. And then the next thing you do is you take care of your brothers and sisters. There was a brother in Waco that died, and there were plenty of drivers that saw him stumbling around in the yard. So you take care of yourself first. If you see your brothers and sisters are in trouble, you take care of them next. And then after that, the stewards, will fight for you in that office. But you get home first, and then we'll fight for you in that office. And like Big Will said, an injury to one is an injury to all.
And if I might
Yeah.
say, like,
Yeah.
just to sort of like reinforce what he's saying, if you are throwing up, you're done for the day. Like, you need to go to a hospital. Please, drivers, if you're throwing up, go to a fucking hospital, call the paramedics, because you're far too fucking gone. to continue working.
Don't be a
Yeah.
hero. Don't die for the honor of UPS. Okay, that's nothing that any of us should. That's nothing that any of us should do. You take care of yourself. You take care of your brothers, and the company will still be there. I promise you that.
Yeah.
Yep.
So listen, final thing I want to say is, with all the safety things, with the ice packs and everything, I'm just going to say it. Take care of yourself before anything else. That's it. That's been said, but that's it. Because if you're aware, then you'll do all the things with the ice packs and all that to keep yourself cool. Go to the cool zones and do that. That's it. You're more important than any piece of cardboard. That's it. That's it. No management person is going to tell you, they can try to tell you different, but no, you got to understand you're more important. You want to get home to your family. Bottom line, that's it. So Ben, Big Will, Seth, thank you for coming on. We appreciate it. And everyone have a good day.
We all deal with national language, but on this podcast, when it comes to supplemental language, we deal mostly with the southern region. And as always, it's best to get advice from your local stewards or business agents. If you would like to reach out to us with any questions, we have an email address, 767realitycheck@gmail.com. That's 767realitycheck@gmail.com.
And remember, strong people stand up for themselves, but the strongest people stand up for others.